Okay, boys and girls, the first step toward completing your app for social good is to start imagining what the user of your app wants and needs. So this activity here, called Determine the User, you can see it right there, is designed to help you start to understand things from someone else's perspective. Okay? So let's read through the directions together. This says, next to each description of a user, write down the letter of each teapot they might use and be prepared to justify your answers. So let's read through the first description. It says, someone who wants an individual cup of tea before bed. Now we're going to look over here on the right-hand side, over here, and we're going to try to determine which teapot someone who wants an individual cup of tea before bed, which pot they would use. So I might choose, for example, this one because it looks like there's a tea bag in there and it's not very big and it's a small cup. So see, I'm justifying my answer. I'm talking to myself, reasoning it out. And so I'm going to put down, next to number 1, I'm going to put down F. It doesn't need to be that big. My stylus will not let me write that small. So you just put the letter next to it. You could even put it over here if you wanted to make it nice and neat and go down this column. Just put the answer somewhere next to number 1 and then move to number 2, etc., and go all the way through the front of this worksheet. Again, reason it out to yourself. Think, okay, number 2, someone who often drops things. Well, I would think to myself that they'd want a very sturdy kind of teapot, something that won't break, or something that can withstand a fall. So I'm going to look for one like that, etc. Now the back side of this worksheet, it says, let's read through the directions, it says, for each of these teapots, finish the statements on the right that critique the object's design. So, for the first teapot, the one in orange here, it says, I like. And I would say, I like, oops, I like this is really hard for me to write. Hang on one second. Well, I don't think my program is going to let me write on here, but I would write something like, I might have to just write it a little bigger. Sorry. Nope, it's not going to work, so I'll just say it. I like the color orange. It's one of my favorite colors, and I like the way the tea spout is nice and long. It's going to control the tea as I try to pour it and not let it spill. Something like that. Then for the next part, it says, I wish, and that means, what do you wish was different about it? And I might say something like, well, I wish the part, like right in here, in the middle, wasn't so tall. It doesn't need to be that tall. The cap could just be right here above the big body of the teapot. The cap could be right there, and the handle could be down here somewhere. So I would say, I wish the teapot were shorter and not quite so tall, just because that's what would look nice to me. And then finally, it says, what if? And I might think to myself, okay, well, what if the handle were completely down on the body like that, down there somewhere? Would that change the balance? Would it make it harder or easier to pick up? So you basically, in the what if part, you just ask a question about the design and you imagine something different about it and you make a question out of it. Repeat that process for each of the 4 teapots. Write a complete sentence or 2 for each I like, I wish, and what if section, and then you'll be done. You can hand it in to me for a perfect score. Of course, you're going to get a perfect score because you're going to do a great job on this.